Good day, all, and thank you for joining us today. What we will have today, what we will follow, will be an hour more or less full of discussion, insights, and facts about space and sustainability, which are two very interlinked and entangled topics. I, Jorge del Rio, and Tara Klowski, our partner and CEO of Technovation, will be guiding you through the event today. We, together with our amazing panelists, will be basically showing you some surprises that we have prepared for you today. To begin with, the first surprise that we have is I have the pleasure to introduce Dr. Simonetta Di Pipo, who is the director of the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs. She was also the European Space Agency Director of Human Spaceflight. She has been the Director of Exploration of the Universe in the Italian Space Agency. She's the Gender Champion of the United Nations and many, many other amazing things. If this is not enough, I mean, she's one of the persons that I know that has an asteroid named after her, asteroid 21887, which is named Di Pipo. So Dr. Di Pipo has an announcement to make today, and the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Jorge. Can you hear me loud and clear? So distinguished delegates, dear colleagues and friends, it's really a great honor for me to announce that the list of partners of the Office for Outer Space Affairs expands further. Signing a memorandum of understanding with Technovation provides us, the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs, with a great opportunity to extend our reach and better deliver our mandates for the benefit of humanity. As you know, UNOOSA is responsible for the management and implementation of the Program on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space of the United Nations. Allow me to underline the fact that we do strive to strengthen international cooperation in space activities and in the use of space science and technology for achieving a holistic, socio-economic, global, sustainable future towards really the future we want. Collaborating with Technovation will see us focus on two fundamental areas of sustainable development. The first one is to use space to promote science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM, in particular, to tackle sustainability aspects with emphasis on climate action, which is linked to Sustainable Development Goal number 13. Space plays a crucial role to observe and understand the complex dynamics of our planet, and globally, 35 out of 54 essential climate variables identified by the World Meteorological Organization Global as GCOS. The second area is also in achieving gender equality, unfortunately, a persisting challenge in societies globally. Technovation empowers girls, especially those from underserved communities, to use technology, mobile and AI, to address problems in their communities, working in partnerships with mentors. Well, through this MOU, space will be incorporated in the Technovation Challenge, inspiring young women to use space for climate action and to pursue promising careers in STEM. Well, I focused on helping young women succeed throughout my entire career. I founded Women in Aerospace Europe back in 2009, an association that helps women enter and advance in the sector. I'm part of the United Nations Gender Champions Network, and I launched the first initiative at United Nations level to encourage the participation of women in the space sector, the so-called Space for Women project. Currently, the ratio between women and men in the space field varies from country to country, but in general below 1/3. At the same time, the wider technological sector is struggling to get qualified personnel. Solving this paradox through better women's participation would be a win-win result for women and for our economies and societies. The changes needed to overcome the current gap in gender equality in the space sector start at school. We need to inspire youth to bring change and dream big. The primary goal of UNOOSA and Technovation is to stimulate the interest of students aged 18 and their families in the use of satellite data and build their capacity to create solutions for their local communities. This is a global endeavor, and we need global partners to help us build a network of mentors and the educational material to support this goal. I'm sure that if we all work together, the 1/3 of women in the space sector that I referred to before will increase very soon, helping humanity achieve previously impossible results. Well, let's do it.
Thank you, Director. I have had the pleasure of hearing you speak before, and it blew my mind how space underlines so much of the hard challenges that we want to tackle. So from Technovation side, we couldn't be more proud. And I'm an aerospace engineer, so I appreciate on so many levels this partnership. I could not even have dreamt when I was a little girl that we would be doing this together. So it is super, super exciting. And also, like you say, I mean, this is a hard challenge, and let's do it. So thank you very much. And I'm guaranteeing that I think we'll have a year of incredible impact and exciting innovations coming out from these girls who we'll be empowering. So thank you. Welcome everyone. My name is Tara Shklovsky. I'm the founder and CEO of Technovation. And as Jorge said, this is an exciting day for us. We've been working over the past 2 years trying to figure out how we can bring the best technologies that we have to the best minds on this planet, which is with young girls. So thank you for tuning in live, and please put in your comments and ask us your hardest questions. So just to give you a background on what Technovation does, this is some data that we want to share coming from our colleagues and friends at the United Nations Development Program. Just to give you a sense, so this is very, very recent data coming out earlier this month from Dr. Shivani Nair at UNDP, taking some data from the ITU. And it shows that, of course, we know technology underwrites so much of the progress, so much of our future, but less than 10% of women worldwide have the ability to write and build things with technology. And that means that there's something wrong. And there's a lot of work for us to do. And going a little bit further, if this data is not convincing enough, girls' education is one of the most powerful tools we have to help us meet our sustainable goals. So if we can go to the next slide, just to convince you. So this is again a graph from the United Nations Human Development Report from last year. In communities where women are more educated, these communities are so much more resilient to external shocks like COVID. And the number of deaths in those communities decreases dramatically as the education increases. So girls' education saves lives. And this is the Sustainable Development Goal number 3 of good health for all. The second thing is when we empower young girls to tackle hard problems of real world problem solving, it underwrites, maybe we can go back to the previous slide again, Anna. It helps develop a more powerful workforce, which again underpins a strong economy. And that is the Sustainable Development Goal number 8. And lastly, this is something that blew my mind when I learned about it, that when girls are educated, it directly impacts our environment. And it's the 6th most effective strategy for reducing carbon dioxide emissions, even more efficient than solar panels and electric vehicles. So if anyone needed convincing that girls' education is one of the most powerful tools that we have for overall sustainable development, here are 3 main points for you to keep in mind: good health, good economies, and good environment. What more would you want? And so this takes us to the next slide, which is what Technovation is. Technovation is the world's largest competition empowering girls and their parents to use the most cutting-edge technology that we have to solve problems aligned with the SDGs in their communities, because we need their voices. And the next slide shows you what some of these girls are tackling: SDGs working with mentors, SDGs aligned with the health, better education for all, building more peaceful societies, eradicating poverty, making sure that women are equal, communities of color have a voice, and of course, making sure that people are prospering alongside with the planet. And the next slide shows some of the innovations that girls have been creating, and you will hear from some of these girls coming forward. The one on the top left is a girl whose grandmother in Kenya lost roughly 40% of her crops because she couldn't predict or diagnose disease, and created this smart farm app to better predict what weather would do and better predict looking at disease on plants. The one on the top right is monitoring forest fires in Cambodia. The one on bottom left is connecting farmers in Egypt who are about to burn straw and add to air pollution with farmers who would need straw for their cows. The one in the middle on the bottom is from a team in a very remote location in northern India, Ladakh, which is one of the highest communities in the world, living at 11,000 meters, I think. And basically, it's about access to clean water, figuring out how technology can help people have access to this very, very scarce resource. And the one on the bottom right is geolocating. Some of you may have heard of a geocaching. This is a geolocating tree game to encourage people in Tunisia to plant more trees. So this is just a little sample of the 20,000 girls who participate in Technovation every year, and the immense diversity of problems that they are tackling and the impact that they're making. And so for this partnership, we are super excited to actually begin to think about how we can bring more tools to girls so that their innovations are more effective. And so up next, I want to introduce a really incredible organization called Global Forest Watch that is using satellite imagery to improve how we plant trees, how we monitor forest health. And we want our Technovation community to get a sense of some of the cutting edge applications of space data, satellite imagery, so that our girls can be inspired and actually think about adapting it to their localities. So join me in welcoming Kai Kresick. She is the GIS product manager with Global Forest Watch. Welcome, Kai.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Again, my name is Kai Kresick, and I am a GIS product manager with Global Forest Watch, which is an online platform that provides data and tools for monitoring forests around the world. I am very excited to talk with you today about how Global Forest Watch is using satellite data to determine how the world's forests are changing, and the technology that we've developed to make sure that the data is accessible to all different kinds of users. So before I get into the details about Global Forest Watch's data and tools, I'd like to share a video that our team created, which summarizes the changes that forests underwent in 2020. So how does Global Forest Watch keep track of forests, which cover about 30% of land on Earth? It would be a daunting task to try to measure forests around the world by counting every tree by hand. We're fortunate that we have different types of satellites that help us count and keep track of forests from space. Global Forest Watch uses several different types of satellites to measure forests. One example of a satellite we use is called Landsat, which photographs the Earth's surface, orbiting the planet 14 times every day. Since satellites are always taking pictures of the Earth, it's necessary to use a combination of cloud computing and artificial intelligence to put all of these images together and identify if these images are showing forest or some other type of land cover. Instead of having a human go through each photo individually, which would be an enormous effort, a computer algorithm is trained to identify forests in different satellite photos. Then this information on where forests are located is put together to create global data sets. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the data set that you're seeing on the screen right now is our global tree cover loss, which is mapped annually. This keeps tracks of forest on an annual basis and has been in existence since 2001. All of the pink on the map that you see there are areas where forests have been lost between 2001 and 2020. This map that you're seeing here shows our second main Global Forest Watch data set, which focuses on tropical forests like the Amazon rainforest. This data set shows deforestation occurring in near real time, meaning that we update the data set on a very frequent basis, in this case, weekly. This enables us to detect forest change almost immediately after it happens. The area that you're seeing on the screen right now is the buffer zone of Cordillera Azul National Park in Peru. As you can see, the pink pixels, which show tree cover loss over time, are spreading throughout the forest. And if you look at the zoomed in image that was taken by a fixed wing aircraft, you can see that the cause is a road that's cutting through the forest. So Global Forest Watch's data and tools have a very diverse audience, and this audience includes national governments, academic researchers, citizen scientists, indigenous groups, law enforcement, and more. These users employ our technology in different ways to monitor and manage forests, stop illegal deforestation and fires, call out unsustainable activities, defend their land and resources, sustainably source commodities, and conduct research at the forefront of conservation. Since so many different people need to use the data in different ways, Global Forest Watch has developed different applications to help specific types of users. On the left, Forest Watcher is a mobile application that people like forest rangers can use in the field. In the middle, Global Forest Watch Pro is a web application that helps corporations like Walmart and Mondelez determine if their products are sustainably sourced or contributing to deforestation. Map Builder on the far right is a web application that enables people who want to focus on a specific country or region make their own localized tree cover monitoring web maps. So now I want to go into a specific example of how Global Forest Watch has been used to combat illegal deforestation. The map that you're seeing here is the Buen Jardín de Cayaru community, and Global Forest Watch was used by the Takuna people who live here to monitor their land. The community here secured their collective land title in 2001, which legally protects their rights to the land. However, this title alone can't defend their land against trespassers like illegal loggers and coca producers. In order to better defend their land, local community monitors use smartphones with the Forest Watcher application to uncover illegal deforestation in their remote territory located in the Peruvian Amazon. The near real-time deforestation alerts available in this application notified them of possible deforestation within their territory, which they were then able to pinpoint for future investigation. In the image, you can see that the yellow indicates the indigenous monitors' numerous patrol routes throughout their territory, and the red indicates the location of several near real-time deforestation alerts that they were able to identify. After they identified these alerts, they used drones to remotely investigate what caused this deforestation, and then visited the site in person once they verified that the deforestation was indeed illegal. They discovered that coca growers were burning down forests illegally in their territory to replace with coca plants to sell in the black market. Once the community monitors verified the loss, they brought in local law enforcement. This action led to the regional environmental prosecutor to identify and summon the alleged coca growers to appear at a legal hearing, which marked a step towards halting further illegal activity. So indigenous groups and other organizations continue to use our alerts to identify illegal deforestation in the forests they care about. Verifying deforestation requires resources that can be hard to come by in remote forested areas, such as internet access, equipment like smartphones, and funding for forest rangers to patrol the area. Confronting illegal deforestation can also be very dangerous for community monitors who can be physically threatened by the culprits. Lastly, even when deforestation is verified and reported to the authorities, official government investigation and action can take many months. However, in the story I just shared, community monitors told us that the government action had helped and that the coca growers had been leaving the community alone. While we are still working towards quantifying the effects of our tools and data around the world, a study was recently published earlier this year that helped us better understand how this technology is making an impact. It found that deforestation decreased by an average of 18% across 9 Central African countries, including Cameroon, the Central African Republic, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, after these deforestation alerts were introduced to governments, wildlife officials, and park authorities. Combating deforestation around the world is immensely challenging, but satellite technology can make it significantly easier. Additionally, the internet enables us to make the data transparent and to share it with people on the ground who can use it to make a difference. We are very fortunate to live in an age where there are satellites that can monitor the environment in many different ways. There's a wealth of data out there that is just waiting to be explored. My advice to anyone interested in tackling climate issues with satellite data is to focus on using your skills to make this information as accessible and easy to use as possible. You can create mobile applications, make a website, design a map, or more. It's important for scientists to be able to communicate data in ways that as many people can understand and access so that this information can be used to enact meaningful change.
Thank you, Kai. I think it's been very impressive to see the apps that Global Forest Watch has made. And I think that is the power of technology, right? Like it's a layer of accessibility that enables individuals to contribute and to collectively work together. So thank you so much for opening this up to us and to the Technovation community. And I really hope that we can continue to work as this year progresses. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I look really forward to seeing how this year's Technovation students use technology and data.
And work with you guys. So
of course, thank you.
Thank you. And so next up, we will bring back Jorge, and we will go into the second part of our panel. So it's all you, Jorge.
Thank you, Tara. It's really amazing. I mean, the examples that Kai was bringing and the numbers that you were throwing, they are really incredible, and then some mind-blowing facts that you have put on the table. I would like to go to the next panel. We have 2 very good speakers, amazing speakers. The first one is Lilian Ndugu. She's the Agriculture and Food Security Thematic Lead at the Regional Center for Mapping of Resources for Development in Kenya, and she uses geospatial technology and remote sensing, so satellite data, for climate change assessments, as addressing agriculture and food security. Lilian, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. As mentioned, my name is Lilian, and I'm joining you from Nairobi, Kenya, where I'm working at the Regional Center for Mapping of Resources for Development as the Agriculture and Food Security Lead. And I joined agriculture. I grew up in a small farm in a transition zone where agriculture was labor intensive. And I usually say that now working in agriculture is coming full circle, being able to contribute to problems that I have experienced, and creating tools and products that are making a difference is really important. So thank you for having me. And so in responding to the questions, I'd like you to show the presentation. Thank you. Okay, so I want to talk about the applications that we have developed using satellite data to support agroclimatic decision making. And I'd like to begin by giving you a background of RCMRD. It's an intergovernmental organization that is based in Nairobi, but has over 40 years of experience in developing geoinformation products and services with the coverage spanning across the Eastern and Southern African countries. It has 22 member states. And within our CMRD, we have the Survey Network. This is a NASA-USA collaboration that seeks to strengthen the capacity of regional hubs to deliver their mandate. So our CMRD, again, has the strength of the Survey Eastern Southern Africa Network. Next, please. And so I put this picture in my slides because we have so many satellites. Part of what I'm going to show you some of the data, some of the satellite data sets that we're using to develop solutions, but these are by no means exhaustive, and there are so many satellites that are available and which support different applications. And specifically in East and Southern Africa, we have been using different satellite data sets. We have been developing different applications and tools that are derived from different satellite data sets and combined with other ancillary data to develop tools to support decision making. And the first one among them is yield estimation. And for this, we depend on a wide load of data and a coupled model that is able to estimate the yields at the district level. This has been one of the products that has been adopted by the Kenya Ministry of Agriculture as part of their digital food balance sheet, supporting the management of stocks and forecasting the demand and the supply in terms of food stocks within the country. But we've also, in collaboration with other technical partners, developed tools that make it easy to monitor the crop conditions from space, combine the knowledge that is coming from extension officers with satellite-based tools that make it easy even for non-GIS or non-technical people to use these tools and make informed assessments. And the goal of all these tools is to support data-driven decision-making that is geared towards the broader goal of agricultural transformation in the region. And apart from that, from the crop monitoring initiatives are actually based on Modis NDVI. And from that, by combining with data that is coming from the field, we have systems such as the crop monitor, which automatically creates maps by combining satellite and field information to monitor the spread of pests and diseases. Right now, we've had a serious outbreak, the first in a long time, especially for Kenya, on the desert locust. But we also have other pests and diseases that affect our crops. And by combining satellites with field information, the government is able to provide or to develop actionable information sets, reports and bulletins that can support mitigation, that can support interventions, timely interventions. By knowing where there is a problem, the extent of the problem, then there is more targeted interventions that are being done. But also in the rangelands. In Kenya, 70% of the country is arid and semi-arid. So we're also developing solutions that support not just near real-time monitoring of vegetation conditions using Modis data, but also providing 6-week forecast on the vegetation condition so that organizations that are mandated to manage drought emergencies, such as the National Drought Management Authority, are able to respond to these drought emergencies in a more timely manner. And we're also supporting monitoring of water. Most of our agriculture is rain-fed, so managing and monitoring water resources, not just from the large reservoirs, but also from dams and water ponds, is also something that we are doing, and we are doing this in Google Earth Engine, developing automated workflows that detect new surface water bodies that are emerging, and providing this combined information for supporting early warning and early action, ensuring that drought situations do not actually become emergencies. But we're also going ahead and looking at beyond just providing solutions to developing standards and to support crop insurance. Kenya has actually been on the forefront in the development of both crop and livestock insurance to shield farmers from the current, we've seen a lot of climate variability. We've seen a lot of changes in the way that our seasons are, are coming out in terms of the frequency and intensity of rainfall events. And so the government has actually been in the forefront in establishing both crop and livestock insurance. And so together with the University of California, Davis, we have been implementing something known as Quick Quality Index Insurance Certification. And so what you can see there is a woman holding an insurance contract. She doesn't understand whether this is actually good for her or not. And with the advent with the increasing use, increasing availability of free satellite data, and its use in development of satellite products, how do we assess whether these products are actually beneficial to the government, which is making these investments, and even to the farmer or the pastoral community who is being told that this product is good for you? So creating standards that create a bridge in that gap. Other services that we've been developing include MODIS, using MODIS nighttime land surface temperature to do frost monitoring in the Kenyan highlands. This is also an automated process. Again, looking also at developing within season cropland mapping, understanding what the cropped area is. And for this, we are using machine learning technologies and tools. And so one of the cases that really strike as a major win in the use of Earth observation and satellite data is the support that we've been giving to the Kenya crop insurance. Initially, they would just do identification of farms for crop cutting and sampling manually. So they would draw the boundaries of the unit areas of insurance. And this was tedious. They'd have to sit with the communities and do barazas or group discussions. And so we supported, we helped improve that process by developing a GIS-based sampling frame that reduced the implementation of the insurance in a week of the insurance in a county or district from 1 week to 1 day, resulted in 70% cost reduction, strengthened the capacity of the ministry to use Earth observation, but also using Earth observation again to understand homogeneity. And so the final question was, what I would say to girls interested in science and satellites. I'd say that there is a lot of mentorship programs, both within each region in Africa and beyond, that are looking, including Technovation, that are working towards strengthening capacity. There are open data repositories that you can explore, and internships in organizations that are active in using satellites and satellite information. But also there's need to network and engage in forums that are seeking to strengthen capacity in the use of satellites. So I'd like to stop there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lilian. That was really an insightful presentation. Really interesting. And I think it's important to stress what you were stressing before. I mean, satellites help to reduce costs, and it's important to combine satellite data with also field information. That's also very important. So thank you very much for your presentation. I would like to introduce our next speaker, who is Albrecht Bombargen. He's a very important person for climate. He's the chair of the Joint Coordination Group on Meteorological Satellites and the Committee on Earth Observation Satellites, the working group of climate. So who better to talk about satellites and climate change? So, Albrecht, if you could tell us a little bit about your work and how you use satellite data for climate issues and give us some specific examples and advices from your wide and amazing experience, that would be really wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tara and Jorge, for your invitation, and I appreciate to be with you today and to tell you something about my work. And I think to make it easier for you, I say something about myself, because sometimes it's quite good to know what the person has done before it is in the position he has currently. I'm a physicist. I studied physics, and I was doing work in a laboratory. And then I developed algorithms for a processing system, for a satellite processing system. For me, it was a totally new experience. And I became responsible for the developing of the data processing of a sensor which was called Skiamaki. Skiamaki is a German, Belgium, Dutch sensor which is on board of Envisat. It's a European Space Agency's satellites. It's a big truck, I would say, 8 tons with 10 instruments. And so after 10 years, I moved to another place in the German Aerospace Center, to the German Space Agency, where I'm now. There I was responsible for the ground segment development of Nmap. I will come back to this later on. And now since about 10 years, I'm program manager or program officer. Now I'm senior program officer overlooking climate, atmosphere, and calibration validation activities. And this holds for the German and the German part of the European program. So that's why I also have now the opportunity to collaborate not only within Germany, but also internationally, and which is in my case less hands-on, but more programmatic today. However, what you can see on my career is at certain points you make decisions whether you may work more on science, more on application, more on programs, more on management. However, you will feel it and you will see it. Anyway, how do we use satellite? And if I say we, it's DLR. How we use satellite measurements for climate issues. First, we create, or it's also holding for other space agencies. First, we create from long-lasting time series of measurements, so-called climate data records, and for dedicate physical quantities and essential climate variable. And as mentioned before, there is an institution, it's called GCOS. They define these essential climate variables. And this is very useful because it is also a good to have an institution, international institution, where you can have an exchange, and which is an exchange in collaboration. And such a time series which you have encompasses all the measurements of instruments of same type, but on different satellite platforms, because the lifetime of a satellite is not around 20 or 30 years. It's sometimes only 5 or sometimes 10 years. So you can find sources for such climate data records, especially from European activities, as of the European Copernicus program. And you can find it also in the European Space Agency, CCI program, but you can find it also, as we have seen before, in the American and the Asian programs. So DLR for itself operates currently 2 radar satellites in a tandem. They are called TerraSat-X and Tandem-X, and both can be used to look closer to the vegetation and at the very early stage and in soil erosion. However, both are dedicated to scientific precursors. Next year, we will launch another scientific precursor, which is called Nmap. This is an optical spectral imager, which allows land surface detection, including, because of its red edge channel, agriculture mapping with a spatial resolution of around 30 meters. And this offers you new opportunities. This mission is a precursor as the Italian Prisma mission for the upcoming Copernicus mission CHIME. So you see, there are additional missions in the future, and this is very important for you to know that in the future there will be missions, and that you are not looking only in the past on the records you have, but you are looking to the records in the future. In parallel to this developments we do have also the European Copernicus Sentinel-2 satellite, which is similar to Nmap, or is also allowing applications in vegetation and other applications. However, the very, very unprecedented quality of its data is also based on the German Tandem X mission, because we provided with our very accurate measurements the digital elevation model via a company. So this has been derived, and this is used to examine the Sentinel-2 data. So if you now combine this data from Sentinel-2 with the NASA USGS Landsat 8 mission, the thermal channel, then you will get some more information about evaporation. So then you have agriculture, evaporation, and then you get an overlook about your climate, or you might be also your local climate. So you have a good information. However, if it's too much information now, look and have some attention to our German portal, which is called Code.de. It provides you some information. There are more information on the slide. It provides you some information about satellites, and also the opportunity how to apply algorithms to the satellite data. But you have to look by yourself, and then you can see how you can work with. So just if you like to have a use case for climate applications, I will just move to my international hat. I'm currently chairing the Joint Working Group on Climate of CEOS and ZGMS, which is representing all space agencies doing what we call Earth observation. And one core element of our group is a so-called ECV inventory, and which is more important for you, a website, Climate Monitoring Info, which includes a menu item, which is pointing to use cases and applications. And I can cite also one application which is dedicated to support of RED++, and it's also pointing to your first presentation, which is the Global Forest Watch. So, in order not to go too far into much more details, there are many ways to tackle climate issues with satellite data. And if you like to go to satellite data, I think, and for your application, you must clarify yourself first with a specific use case. And there are many examples which you can find also on this website, the climate monitoring .info. But what is more important for you also, there are many announcements currently for colleges for information, and where you have an exchange platform. For example, this is the which I provided you as an annex on the information slide. So that's from my side.
Albrecht, just the last bit. So what would be your advice for young girls and women who are interested to tackle climate issues with satellite data? Just in a sentence, what would be your advice there?
My advice is just to collect your information, to be clear in that case what you want to tackle, and not to be too broad in your case, but very dedicated, and then you collect your information about the satellite information, and they are just one-stop shops where you can find the information about the satellites, the data, and then you can come to the information and to your contacts and the people, and they will provide you the information how you can get the data.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Albrecht, for all your information.
I have to add one little information. You mentioned at the very early beginning artificial intelligence. DLR is also implementing, was one of the first institutions doing artificial intelligence and Earth observation. And there's an institute at DLR. And if there is some interest to have an exchange, go on the website of DLR and look on the Institute for Remote Sensing Technology. There's artificial intelligence and Earth observation combined together with social data. So you have also an opportunity to find some additional developments.
Thanks for the tip. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Albrecht. Thank you, Jorge. So let me introduce our next speaker. Her name is Sampriti Bhattacharya. And I've known her for a little bit and have been watching her career. She is absolutely awesome. She is the co-founder and CEO of Navier. She got her PhD in mechanical engineering from MIT, has a focus on robotics, and she's worked on super cool projects for control systems for underwater drones, hydroswarm, and she's also been an aerospace engineer working on autonomous flight control at NASA. So welcome, Sampriti, and tell us about Navier and what you want to accomplish through Navier.
Sure, and great to see you, Tara. Navier is building electric hydrofoiling boats. So boats that are 100% electric, and they fly over water instead of pushing the water. And what it does is that it reduces operational cost of a boat by 90%. So boats are very expensive to drive. To give you an idea, a small 10-passenger boat is 15 times more expensive than driving a small economy car. So those little boats you see. So the reason you don't see water taxis, for example, because it does not make any sense. In addition, they're very polluting. So per gallon of fuel, you're looking at 20 pounds of emissions. So with electric hydrofoiling boats is addressing everything from cost, operational cost, to actually having sustainable waterborne transportation in congested coastal cities. 46% of the world lives on the coast, and in non-COVID times, when you are thinking, how do we address this by digging tunnels, doing air taxis, making more bridges, there is this free piece of infrastructure that's right out there. So if you could solve the issues with cost, pollution, you are opening up a whole new mode of transportation. And urban mobility is just the start. You can expand it to shipping and whatnot.
That's awesome. Electric boats that are not polluting. I mean, that's exactly what we're trying to tackle over here, different ways of looking at the problem. And this is hardware. When we build apps, that is hard, but I can't imagine how difficult it would be to try to deal with water and so many different variables. So what is your advice for young women who want to create new ocean technologies? What is it? What can they do to start preparing for it?
So I always think being curious is the first step. Don't jump into let's build ocean technology. Go out in the ocean and just wonder and see what you like. Be on a boat, go dive and explore the corals and feel a connection to the purpose. Right? Once you're there, it will come to you. The problem you want to solve is one that you see, right? So I have been in enough boats to know small boats are very uncomfortable to ride. And I was like, well, you can't have a small boat that's go so choppy for a mobility problem. Hydrofoil, for example, solves it because you go above the waves, so you don't have the choppiness, right? So you have to go and feel the problem, have a personal connection to it. And that's the step number one. Step number two is, to make a connection with technology, try out and build stuff for fun. So when you put those two skill set and purpose, or like connection to something together, then you're able to build solution for something. So I would just say, first thing, go explore things that, inspire, amaze you.
That's absolutely right. Feel the problem and have fun, right? Build your skills. So thank you, Sampriti, for sharing. I know you've been really busy launching different pieces of your startup. So best of luck, and I hope we get to talk to you and hear from you again. So thank you.
Thank you.
And next up, we want to bring up a Technovation team. This is a team from Turkey. They were finalists in 2018. And I couldn't be more proud that they not only created an incredible app, but they have continued their Technovation journey. So welcome, Daphne, Debbie, and Ermak. And thank you for being part of the Technovation family. So tell us, why do you think addressing climate change is important?
Well, I can just start off. I first want to explain why we chose climate change to, address as a problem in the first place. So, at the time we were trying to, searching for a problem to address in our community, the new Istanbul airport was being built. And we, as a team, we lived very close to the site, and we first-handedly experienced all the pollution and, saw all the cutting of trees to build the airport. And there was constant commotion around, around our living area due to the construction machines passing by, and the roads were all, clustered with dirt and dust. And as you may guess, it really affected our daily life. And it was also, pretty devastating to see how much pollution was happening around. And as a team, we were all very disturbed at the amount of deforestation happening around us. So, throughout this Technovation process, as we were prompted to think about the most major issue in our community, well, we wanted to address this issue of deforestation and eventually connect it to air pollution and thus climate change and so on. But while we were developing our application, we all realized that there was so much to do about this issue of climate change, but too little awareness, especially in Turkey, because, we saw all the deforestation and the cutting of trees just to build one airport. So we decided to, spread awareness while also making a change. So that's why we created our application, Tap Tap Trees, in the first place. But later that year, as we deepened our research about climate change, which I can, speak for all of us, we weren't really lean towards that topic, because it wasn't, as I mentioned, the awareness in Turkey wasn't, pretty big. So as we deepened our research about this topic of climate change, we came to realization that, as a team, we were really curious and passionate about this topic. So we wanted to work about this topic of climate change in following years as well, which we did. And we branched out our idea of, climate change and, environmentalism to other branches as well, like such as, water pollution, which we addressed in our second year of Technovation with our application. So this is the construction of Istanbul airport was the main reason we want to address, the climate change topic, because we were able to experience, first-handedly experience the deforestation and all the pollution caused by this construction of the airport. And for my personal opinion, climate change is a really big issue happening around, not in Turkey, but around the world as well. And, with other problems and, new technologies going on, as a personal opinion, climate change is getting worse and worse. So I believe that, it's a really great issue to address.
Thank you. And I think this is what Sampriti was also saying, like a personal problem, and I think Technovation really encourages you to do that. So share with us what was challenging about the Technovation journey and what was motivating and surprising that has kept you going over the past 3 years.
So when we first started Technovation in 2018, we were only a junior division team, and that year we worked on an application called Tap Tap Trees, as Irmak mentioned, which was a game that planted trees for each level that was passed. And when we first started Technovation, none of us had past experience in developing a project, designing, or coding an application. So, I mean, we spent most of our time that year working on learning about the technical parts to develop an application, and while also working on the marketing part of our project. And that year, we were lucky enough to be selected as a finalist, and we had the opportunity to attend the World Pitch in Silicon Valley. And that experience of touring tech companies and meeting professionals in the STEM fields motivated us more to engage in these areas. So we continued participating in Technovation in the following years. And in the next years, we continued building applications on climate change. So, I mean, that was especially visiting the tech companies and seeing that part really motivated us to continue in our Technovation journey. And I mean, as a highlight of our building applications and our projects, it was our realization for passion for STEM fields, and also, I mean, the teamwork skills that we had. I mean, yeah, and I mean, I think that's the best part about our Technovation journey was that we were able to understand that we were more capable than we thought as young girls.
And I think that's what a team helps you do, right? It gives you superpowers. One person can only do so much. And it's awesome that you guys have stayed together for so many years. So Debbie, do you want to share any thoughts? One question I would have for you would be, how has Technovation impacted your future goals and your career aspirations and your own development?
Well, since we started to participate in Technovation when we were middle school students, Technovation was a turning point for all of us that we could discover what our interests were. So we were first introduced to areas of entrepreneurship, innovation, coding, and technology in Technovation. And that was when we realized that we were passionate about solving world problems by using technology. For me, after the World Pitch, I was able to understand that I wanted to work in a technological company and engage in areas such as biotechnology. Daphne understood that she wanted to study the intersection of science, technology, and entrepreneurship. And Irmak wanted to address business and economics when she was arranging our financial plans. So we were all able to learn about our interests and discover what we wanted to do in the future via Technovation. So I think, yes, Technovation helped us understand what we would want to do in the future overall.
Yeah, and I think we couldn't be more grateful too, right? That because it's you who are role models for all the thousands of girls, that it's not just a one-off experience, but you have to come back year after year. So congratulations to you all. Thank you for the courage for saying there's a problem in my community, I'm going to tackle it. And don't ever let go of that feeling, right? That you can be a leader, you can make change, because you're reaching thousands of people, thousands of young girls all around the world with your story. And this is just the beginning, right? So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Bye, Irmak. And to close out the session, I want to invite another Technovation alum. Her name is Fien Okuchime. And she is 13 years old from Louisiana, and she is a poet. And she wrote a very special poem for this event to inspire each of us to take action. So, Fien.
Hi, my name is Fien, and like Tara said, I'm 13, and I've been working in Technovation for about a year. This year, I'm in the junior division, and I worked on an app that I called Poetry Slam. Poetry Slam is an app where you can share your art, whether it's a poem or a picture that you've drawn, and get positive feedback in return. And because I like poems so much, I've written a poem today, and it's called Building Blocks. If every good deed in your life, everything you've done or said, were worth a single dollar bill or more to the well-bred, how much money would you have? How rich do you think you'd be? Could you buy yourself a mansion or an island in the sea? Or would you find yourself lucky to be treated to something nice, like an apple or a brick or a wool hat without lice? Because when you really sit and think about all the good you've done, would you really deserve a prize, should a prize there be to be won? To be kind is such a general rule, with a meaning that's not so clear. And many a soul have found it hard, a monster that they must fear. So instead of asking you to be nice and kind to all you see, I'll ask you now to work hard and fast, take notes or plant a tree. For the only way that you can help convince the world to change is not found in an inspirational speech or any place just as strange. Forgive me for being cheesy now, just a little bit cliche, but there's something small I'd like to impart, a little I'd like to say. Every time you meet a person, every word you share and pitch can build them up or knock them down. The question, though, is which? Thank you.
Thank you, Finn. That was beautiful. And I think Technovation, we tried, like, we have to make the world better. And that means we have to think about others and have empathy and be kind. But that can be a very big task. And I think you've broken it down really beautifully for us. And we can go about today and for the next days to just build up each other, right? So thank you, Finn. And we will remember these building blocks. So thank you all for sticking with us throughout this live event. And I just want to end by saying we are looking for partners. This is a very big partnership and we need help. We are looking to engage 34,000 girls, parents, mentors, educators over the coming season that we're going to launch in September. With about 100 chapter ambassadors worldwide. So if anyone of you is interested in partnering with us, engaging, supporting these girls and students, please contact me. My email is tara@technovation.org. And more importantly, we are interested in having experts in climate with AI, sustainability, satellite imagery, work with us to develop curriculum, case studies, tutorials, so that girls can tackle these big problems, but with tools that are made for them and that set them up for success. So thank you, everyone, for supporting us, for being part of this, for tuning in. And we look forward to building great things with you. So thank you.